in conjunction with the United Nations this afternoon about the global and regional experiences of holding elections under difficult, challenging circumstances and safeguarding electoral integrity. We begin your special broadcast with Ambassador Nardos Bekele-Thomas, the United Nations South Africa Resident Coordinator, Dr. Ayodele Odusola, the Resident Representative for the United Nations Development Programme. Good evening to you both, and thank you for your time tonight. Ambassador Bekele-Thomas, if I may start with you. You visited the IEC Results Operations Centre this week. It is the nerve centre of our elections. What did you find? Ambassador, if I may ask what you found at the Resident Operations Centre. How did you find it when you got to the Results Operations Centre, Ambassador Bekele-Thomas? All right, let's... Ambassador, if I can ask you to unmute yourself just so that we can hear what you're saying. Let me move to Dr. Ayodele Odusola, the Resident Representative for the United Nations Development Programme. Sir, the partnership that you have with the Electoral Commission, how important is that partnership during a local election like this one?
Hello?
Good evening, sir. You're on television? Yes. How important is the relationship with the Electoral Commission?
Oh, thank you very much, Steve. The relationship with the Independent Election Commission and the United Nations system in South Africa through the United Nations Development Programme is managed under a partnership project called UCount. Which is to ensure that the vote of every South African counts, and also to facilitate sharing of electoral experiences among electoral bodies in Africa. And both the IEC and the UNDP and UN agencies operating in in South Africa have committed to, one, ensure greater participation in electoral process within a particular focus to youth and women that constitute a greater proportion of those that register in this current year local government election. Second, to increase innovation in electoral management processes through the introduction of digital technology. And three, to strengthen domestic observation in election. Four, to deepen institutional memory and thought leadership in electoral matters, particularly on electoral researches, and also to facilitate experience sharing across African countries. But particularly with respect to the municipal elections 2021, we hosted a seminar with the Elections Commission just last week, focusing, bringing political parties and other stakeholders in promoting and preserving electoral integrity through these municipal elections during a state of disaster, and also to build some kind of confidence in IEC, as well as to prepare to really improve preparedness to address potential problems that may arise as a result of COVID-19. And we have been focusing also on building, deepening civic and voters' education, particularly targeting youth in three marginalized provinces, Limpopo, Mpumalanga, and Northwest. The idea is just to ensure that this really brings some kind of many people that may be discouraged to really come and increase the voters' turnout during the elections. And also, we have been supporting domestic observer network so that at least we have some kind of independent observation of the electoral process across polling booths and strategic hotspots. So these are the kind of things we've been doing. And currently, we are promoting voters' participation in 18 community radio stations across the country, which will continue to really increase civic education and voters' education between now and 3 p.m. on the 1st of November.
And Ambassador Bekele-Thomas, the nerve centre of all of this is the Results Operations Centre of the Electoral Commission in Tshwane, in our capital. You were there this week. Do you get the sense that the Electoral Commission, the IEC, is ready for the elections on Monday?
From what I have seen, thank you for having me, first of all, but from what I've seen, the Rock is really one of the best that I've seen in my many years of experience in election. And I am sure that with the system that they have put in place and the arrangements that they have put in place with everybody from the media to the political parties being present there, to the mediation centers that is there, the nerve center that we call, and the integrity center for election, the Rock is ready, and, I'm pleased with what I've seen.
And Madam Ambassador, I mean, you will have seen other elections on the continent. You've been in places like Kenya and Benin. I mean, elections can be a very difficult time for any country, but particularly during a pandemic. I mean, what lessons do you think we can learn from what's happened in other places?
Well, my experience, for example, in Kenya makes the relevance and the importance of Rock so valid, because in Kenya, the violence of 2007-2008 election was as a result of the delay in announcing the results. When results are delayed and when, it's not communicated to people in real times, even though the party agents are there at the polling station, they sign the documents, and it is from the party, from the political party side, it's clear. For the people, it creates some kind of anxiety and suspicion. And therefore, the more it gets delayed, the whole anxiety boils down, and, it can result into violence. We've seen it in Kenya. And therefore, it's very important that in real times, results are communicated, and the integrity of the voting system and, and also the transparency is very critical and very important. And the Rock serves this purpose.
Dr. Odusola, I mean, you're someone who's watched many elections. When we see killings linked to politics in our country, when we see violence during elections, what creates the conditions for that? What leads to that kind of situation during elections?
Thank you very much, Stephen. I think the electoral violence is just like throwing away democratic foundation and a roof through the windows. And violence is often used to really create fear and in a community so that voters are reluctant to go out to vote, and also to intimidate credible and law-abiding candidates so that they can withdraw from a competitive process. I think this is really something that is really a serious concern, because killing and injuring people in the name of politics is destroying our democracies and reminding us of the apartheid era. And we just want to use this opportunity to really enjoin our politicians to this from this. Reasons for political violence could be multidimensional, and we found that we have almost about 4 to 5 reasons that are really behind this. First, the battle within political parties, where candidates fight for position, especially where you have cracks within political parties and they see that violence is the solution to this, or particularly within political parties when some candidates thought they have been really marginalized, and they turn to violence once the internal process is not really foolproof. Second, opposing political parties candidates also want to eliminate competition. This could be part of the reasons behind the violence and killings we've been experiencing over the past few months. Third, entrenched patriarchy is also playing its ugly head, particularly in rural communities where some male candidates believe that they cannot be subjected to female leadership at the community level. This is again one of the things that the police minister Sele really mentioned, and I think we need to really address this. And the final thing is that we need to look at the socioeconomic issues behind violence. I know this may not be the issue within the context of local government, but it's really very important for us to look at the quality service delivery that will help us to address the challenges of joblessness, poverty, and inequality in the country.
Ambassador Bekele-Thomas, I mean, often in an election there are core issues. A local election you would think might be about service delivery. I must say, I think youth unemployment is an issue. What for you are the core issues of this election from your observation so far?
Well, there are many things. First of all, let's just look at the conditions under which this whole election is taking place. It's the COVID era where there is no contact with the candidates, so that is by itself a sort of an obstacle. But also the fact that there is some hesitancy among the youth, seeing voting as a way of revolting is a wrong thing, because the Bill of Rights gives individuals 18 years and above the right to vote for their candidates, and this means that they will vote for those people that deliver their aspirations, that realize the aspirations of the youth. Unemployment is one of the critical things that is clearly a problem here. And, by voting, you're being part of the decision making, and you are also making accountable your leader. And your leader will be judged based on your needs if the needs are met. So, not voting is not the response. Voting is the response, because you have to be part of the decision making. So for the young ones, I urge them to go and vote. Vote for their candidate. Vote for their the leaders that they think will deliver, the future they want. And it's critical and very important that we pursue this voter education at all levels, because they have to know, first of all, it's the management of their own resources, and the money that we spend and the money that we are giving to the leaders to executive programs is the money of the citizens. And you certainly have a right to recruit your manager of this fund. So it's your money that you're talking about. It's your future that you're talking about. It's your children's future that you're talking about. So voting is really very critical and very important. It's the most important instrument citizens have in this whole democratic process. Therefore, for the young ones, yes, it's unemployment. You have to vote for those that will deliver, employment for all, decent jobs for all. Yes, it is also social services. Delivery of social services is very important, and leaders should be accountable. And you have to vote for those leaders that you will make accountable for the delivery of social services. Therefore, I think, to me, the message to the young ones that are looking for jobs is really vote. Let your voices be heard through the ballot box.
Ambassador Nardos Bekele-Thomas, thank you very much indeed.